Hello, Jennifer. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks so much for taking time out, which I know is a busy schedule, even in the off season. So excited to talk to you today. At Intuit, one, we love the NFL. A lot of affiliation there. Two, in February, we just celebrated Acts of Courage during Black History Month. And currently, we're in Women's History Month, where we're embracing equity. So excited to have the opportunity to connect with you on so many levels. For those that may not know you, and I'm sure there's so many that do, I wanted to share some background on you, if that's okay. So I'm just going to brag about you for a little bit, if that's all right. So you are the running back assistant coach for the Washington Commanders. You're about to enter your sixth season, right?
Fourth in the NFL.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness, right. And you made history as the first Black woman to become a full-time coach at the NFL, the second female assistant position coach in the NFL. That's behind, I think, Lori Locust and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the first woman coach to serve as a positional coach in the East-West Shrine Bowl. And prior to coming to Washington, you coached in the National Football League and the Alliance American Football and in the college ranks. Did I miss anything?
I know that's pretty good.
So would love to just first start with your journey line. We always like here to talk about the journey line. And I know the NFL is only scratching the surface, as you have an impressive background, not only as a basketball coach, but as an athlete yourself. But would love to just kind of take a step back, and where did you grow up and how did it all begin?
Yeah, I grew up in Reidsville, North Carolina. It's a small town about 30 minutes north of Greensboro, also about 30 minutes south of the Virginia border. So it's kind of right there in the middle of those two, and big sports town. So I always grew up around sports. I had an older sister, so I was always going to her games and going to watch my cousin's games. So I just fell in love with sports at a really young age. And I started playing organized sports around 8 years old and just kind of never left.
Fantastic. And when we talk about sports, again, you are a fierce competitor on the field and off the field. That's what I've said before. And you played basketball at college, right?
Yes, basketball and softball.
And then you went on to play in the Women's Football Alliance, and that was for 12 years.
Yeah.
So what was that like?
It was awesome. Growing up, I always wanted to play football. My parents never let me play. They thought I would get injured. So I graduated college and I kind of could make the decision for myself. So I started playing women's tackle football, and it was some of the best years of my life. I mean, some of my best friends to this day I met playing football, and just great experiences, and was able to be on some really successful teams and win a couple of national championships. So it was just a really great time and fun time. And I still try to stay connected to the women's tackle football leagues, just to try to do what I can to help growth of the women's football.
And I hear that, well, I did hear we have a mutual acquaintance, and I heard there's not a position that you can't play. That's what I'm hearing. I heard a couple of things. I heard that you loved being a receiver, but they loved you being a quarterback. And you were a 7 all-time American quarterback and wide receiver for the Carolina Phoenix from 2006 to 2017. And the other story I heard was, as a defense, you are unbelievable. And not only would you feel it for weeks, but they could hear it. So just love hearing those stories. Did playing the sports really kind of, how did you transition from just the love of playing? And I think you still play today, right? You're in the off season. Are you playing anything now?
I just play flag football now. I've retired from playing tackle football.
How did that lead into coaching for you?
I think, during that time I was playing, I began coaching college basketball. But I think as I moved into football, it helped, to be a former player. And the guys respected that. So I think a lot of them already knew about the women's tackle leagues, or they knew someone who played. And of course, in today's time, they're going to look me up and Google me. And, I think that kind of added credibility immediately when I walked into the door.
I love it. Love it. You know, one of the things when we started to talking about making history and opening doors for others, when we were doing some research on you, one of the things I just loved what you said is it wasn't about setting out to be the first, it was just about setting out to be the best. And in doing so, being good that you couldn't ever be denied, being that good you couldn't be denied, right? And that perspective is unbelievable. And I think there's so much inspiration behind that. And it really was a driving force that projected your career. Where did that drive come from? Have you always had that?
I think I have, you know, growing up, you know, other than playing football, my parents pretty much allowed me to just try different things. If there's something I wanted to try, a new sport, a new activity, they made a way so I could do that. And I think that built a confidence growing up. And a lot of those things that I tried, I ended up being pretty good at. So I think I had that mentality growing up that, you know, no matter what I tried, I felt I could be successful at. So as I moved into, you know, adulthood and a career, I felt whatever I chose to do that I could be successful at. And I think that mindset was huge. And then, you know, that mantra of being so good, you can't be denied. It really came from after seeing the movie Hidden Figures. That movie was so inspirational to me. And then to find out that I was actually related to Katherine Johnson, I think that's what came up. I came up with that mantra just to see what all they accomplished during that time. And they were literally so good that NASA couldn't deny them. And I think that's kind of where that came from.
Now, with that though comes, you put a lot of pressure on yourself, right? How do you find that balance? Because with that drive and that puts a lot. How do you find that balance?
Yeah, I don't even look at it as pressure. You know, even when I was a kid, I wanted to be good. I wanted to be great at something. So I don't really look at it now as pressure, just because I felt like it's just my mentality. That's how I'm built. So everything that I do, I want to be really good at.
And do you find that people feed off that? Do they get that? Is that one of the things as being a coach? And you said like the fellas can look you up and see that you've got that history and you're a serious contender. But does that mindset that you have, do you feel that that makes a broader connection with your players?
Absolutely. You know, I think that builds a confidence. And, you know, if you're confident when you're speaking to these guys, or you're confident when you're trying to relay a message to them or teach them, it just helps because you're telling them in a confident manner, and, you know, they trust you. They believe everything that you're saying.
We've had an opportunity to actually talk to Jill Ellis, who is the former US women's soccer coach. And she said that as a coach, we asked her, why does she love coaching? And she said, coaching understands the pressure is part of the rush of coaching. The challenges of trying to outplay your opponent is part of the fun. The adrenaline, the preparation, and seeing your team evolve was something that really she loves about being a coach. Why did you want to become a coach, and what do you love about it?
Yeah, I mean, I think I kind of naturally fell into coaching. After I graduated college, you know, what do you do now? And I was able to start coaching college basketball thanks to a relationship that I had from growing up. And they gave me an opportunity. And I quickly learned that I loved coaching just because it kept me close to the sport, for one. But for all those reasons that she just mentioned, you know, the competitiveness of it, you know, strategizing against opponents, the rush that you get on game day, those are things that I feel like only athletes sometimes only understand. And to be able to do that as a coach, obviously you can't get on the court or the field and play, but I think that's about as close as we can get to it.
I love it. Is there ever a moment where it's like, man, give me that ball, I know what to do with it, I want to get in there? Do you ever, or are you like, you know that isn't a wise thing to do? Do you ever kind of get there where you're like, man, give it to me?
I don't think I've ever thought that in the NFL. These guys are big, fast, and strong, and I think
might not be a good idea.
I'll stay on the outside of the white lines in the NFL.
I love it. One of the things that impressed me is that you actually, you know, you had a great career as a basketball coach, as a national champion, and you gave it up and you went to the NFL and you became an intern. Mobility is such a big thing at Intuit, and the courage needed to take that career to the next level and really, you know, encourage it to take it into your own hands and change careers. how did you find that courage? Or, I mean, obviously you've got that confidence, you've got that drive. So, but how did you kind of prepare for that? Because that's a big change for you.
Absolutely. I mean, that's probably the biggest pivot I've had in my life, was leaving a successful basketball coaching career, where I'm kind of at the top as a head coach, and then to leave and walk away to a totally new sport at a different level and essentially be at the bottom. I think, there obviously some fear in it, but ultimately you have to bet on yourself and face those fears and just depend on, your abilities and betting on yourself to be great at whatever you're going to do. And I felt, I was successful enough in basketball. If it all, just fell in on my head, I could go back to basketball. But, I went in and to football with that mentality that I wasn't going back to basketball. And because I think when you leave yourself too many options, that gives you excuses. So I left everything. I bet on myself and put everything on the table for football. And obviously it's worked out for me. And I had great support, family and friends supported me. And I always say, it was nothing but support. I never got a negative comment. Why are you doing this? What are you doing? At least to my face, which I appreciate. But it was all positive energy and positive vibes. So I had that confidence as well, knowing that the people closest to me in my life also supported my move.
I love it. What advice would you give someone who is looking to kind of either change their career or grow their career?
I think you have to put yourself out there. I think so many times people are afraid to fail, and it's going to happen. That's something that we face in life. And what are you going to do with it? Are you going to fall forward when you reach failure? Sometimes we stare at closed doors and there are open ones around us, and we forget that. So, when you experience failure, don't get so locked in on that. It's just move on. And I think as a coach, that's what you have to do, just because, our profession is so volatile. We're here today and gone tomorrow. So you have to be ready to move on at all times and just don't get comfortable in anything that you do. Even when you reach the top or you reach whatever goal you set out for yourself, there's always more that you can do. And there's always another level that you can reach.
I love it. My dad used to say to me when he used to give me advice on next steps in my career, and I would talk to him about it, and he would say, Emma, does your stomach turn inside out thinking about it? And he said, because if it isn't, you're too comfortable. Yeah. If it doesn't make you a little bit sick or a little bit anxious, then you're not pushing yourself enough. So I love that. You've been such a massive part of the transformation, and both in the brand at the Washington Commanders as well as an organization. How have you continued to continue this kind of influence and change?
Yeah, I think, I give a credit to Coach Rivera for coming in and really changing the culture around the organization, around our building here at the facility. And it's fun to come to work every day. There are great people in the building. We have a good time. We work hard, but we have a good time at the same time, and that's important. And obviously in the past, it wasn't like that here, but I think, to his credit, he was the right guy for this job. He came in and did a great job, and now it's really a fun place to work.
I love it. And, how are you seeing that? I mean, it's slow. We all know it's slow for change. How are you seeing, are you seeing landscape change for women in sports, coaching, leadership, behind the scenes, in front of the scenes? Are you seeing that change?
Absolutely. I mean, it's a funny way to look at it, but, when I first got here, locker room, bathroom, in and out. And now sometimes there's women in there I don't even know that's in the building that work here. You know what I'm saying? So there's so many women now in our facility that the bathrooms now a little small, the locker room's a little crowded, which are all great problems to have, because that shows the progress now that we're experiencing, which is awesome.
How did you celebrate when you became an NFL coach for the first time? What did you do?
It's really a lame story. So we were actually working on a game. It was like game week, probably like a Wednesday or Thursday of a game week. And I'm grinding in my office probably around like 8:00. And coach comes up and he lets me know that he's going to promote me to the next season. And, obviously I was super excited. But I kind of just went right back to what I was doing. I don't even think I made a phone call or text or anything. I was just kind of locked into what I was doing, and I went right back to it.
Was it because did it take some time to soak in, or it was like, yeah, no, that's right, makes sense. Now on to the next thing?
Yeah, it was just like, that's obviously exciting, but I'm trying to get out of here before 11 o'clock. So I need to get right back to what I'm doing.
Oh, but I'm sure your family and friends were just hella excited for you.
Of course. Yeah, my parents are sometimes annoyingly excited, but it's awesome. I know they're proud of me.
That's their job, right?
Yeah.
When we talk about leadership and communication style, and we talk a lot about taking big swings. One of the things that I love hearing about you is how you communicate. And it's like kind of your inner strengths, your power, and secret sources, as we like to say. Has that always been the case? Have you always had that art of communication and that ability to connect, or has it taken time to really kind of get to who you are as your authentic self and really find your voice?
I think it was something I always had. I mean, I'm sure you can ask my elementary school teachers about it. I was always getting in trouble for talking a little too much in class. But yeah, I think, communication's always been important. I think, growing up in my family, had a pretty large family outside of my initial family. So it was always large gatherings and just people around. So it was always strong communication, and just to be around healthy relationships growing up and to see good communication, and then having great coaches myself growing up and see how they communicate and relationships that they built with their athletes. I think I just kind of pulled from all of that as I grew into my adulthood and into my own coaching career.
I know that one of the questions that I think you've been asked a few times is the difference between coaching professional men and college women and the art of communication there. Any difference? Have you had to kind of change anything about how you show up or communicate?
Yeah, I mean, I think, obviously there's totally different levels. And I'm very instinctive as far as what the team needs. That's something I learned from one of my mentors in coaching. Like the whole coaching staff can't always be yelling. So when I was a head coach on the basketball side, I had to do that because that's what that team needed. It's funny, if they saw me now, they were like, "Who are you?" Because now my guys don't need that. They're professionals. Like, this is their job, their livelihoods, their families are dependent on this. So they have a different level of attention, a different work ethic that they bring every single day. So I don't have to yell and scream at my guys as much as I did in college. And I also work with a coach. He brings a lot of energy every single day. Sometimes I like to be that more calming voice in our room just for balance, because I think it's so important for rooms to have balance, for teams to have balance, for coaching staff to have balance. So that's something that I try to do for us.
And I can imagine, even though you're looking at it as a team, as individuals, every style is different, right? And so you have to kind of be a little bit of a chameleon, I should imagine, and what's going to work with one person or the other. Do you find that as well?
Oh, absolutely. You have to know everyone's personality. And that helps with teaching, that helps with coaching, because everyone doesn't learn the same. Everyone communicates differently. So you have to know that with your guys that you have. In football, you have your position group. And obviously I work with the running back. So we'll have 5 to 6 guys in our group typically during the season. So I have to know every single one of them. I have to know if one comes in one day and something's not right. I need to know him well enough to ask, "Hey, what's going on?" before we get started, so we can get started, start our day with good footing. But you have to be able to know them and build relationships to be able to do that.
As you think of, beyond the natural goal of, always the goal is to have a great season, a winning season. Were there other intentional, bold goals that you've set out for yourself as a coach and for the team last season? Or as you think about the next one, kind of, or the next season, what are some of those goals that you set out for yourself as well as the team?
Yeah, I mean, I look at it in our position group. I want our running back group to be the best in the league. I think we have the talent to do that. So obviously we're learning a new offense now. So it's important to be able to teach those guys that offense and allow them to learn it so they can go out and play free and use those abilities they got them here. And I think that's important for us. And that's always the goal for me in our room, is to do whatever I can to allow our guys to go perform and play fast on Sundays.
I love it. We did get we got some questions that came in from the team, and I'm going to read a few of them off if that's okay. When we said we were going to talk to you, a couple of the questions was, what's the biggest surprise to you in this role? Was there anything that you found surprising in your first year of coaching in the NFL?
It's something that I knew, obviously being in coaching, but just, I mean, our hours that we work, we're in the off season now, and I say we work normal people hours, but then when I look at it, it's probably a little longer than normal people. Like, in the off season, we'll get in around 7 and we'll leave around like 5 or 6. That's a pretty long day for like a normal job, but for us, it's great. Like, I'm excited to be out and I get to do things in the evenings, but in season, I mean, we get in around 6, and some coaches are in way earlier than that, and we're here until we're done. That could be 9 o'clock, it could be 11 o'clock, it may be later than that. So it takes so much to try to be prepared for a game, and everything that goes into a play call or everything that we do is so meticulous. And I think sometimes people don't understand that.
But I must, for have that kind of dedication, you must just, it's important that you want to get up in the morning. You love getting up in the morning. And that's when you've got your career right. Like when you get up and you're so excited for the day. And sometimes we all have those days we don't want to, right? But for the most part, is that something, do you think about it when you sleep? Do you wake up thinking about it? Or do you have a chance to disconnect ever? Like, how are you doing self-care for Jennifer?
Yeah, I mean, I try to work out at some point during the day. Fridays, which is a big day in the NFL, everyone calls it Fast Friday. So usually we're out of the office in the afternoon and we have the rest of the day off. So I try to do something normal that day, whether it's go to a movie, go eat dinner at a restaurant, just something. And so I think that's kind of my self-care, is to be able to do that every day on Friday. And that's a coveted day in the National Football League.
And when you think about mentors, obviously you've got strong family ties, a strong community around you. Is there anybody that stands out to you as like a really one of your biggest mentors?
Sure. Scott Pioli has been huge for me in my development. When I first met him, he was the assistant general manager with the Atlanta Falcons. And he kind of gave me that confidence that I could do this. And he invited me down for a day with the Falcons. And after doing that, I definitely knew that I could do this and I wanted to do this. So, I'm forever grateful for him, for everything he's done. And, the coaches that I've worked for, because they've given me an opportunity. So obviously Coach Ron Rivera has been great. I've worked with him in Carolina and now in DC. Rick Neuheisel was awesome. He gave me an opportunity in the AAF out in Arizona. Buddy Tevens at Dartmouth has been fantastic as well. So there's so many coaches that I've worked with and worked for. And, I have mentors, all over the place. Some of my mentors are successful in business, which obviously is not sports, but they're still successful and they can give you nuggets to help you along the way. So I'm just appreciative to everyone that's helped me along the way and my whole village.
Do you find them or do they find you? Or do you do you find that it's like getting yourself out there, opening yourself up? Do you find mentors? Do you go out and seek them?
I mean, at this point, I just kind of let it happen organically. Someone connected me with Scott initially, and everyone else I've kind of just met along the way. So it hasn't been something where I really seeked anyone out to really, ask for their mentorship. Everything just kind of happened organically.
And are you paying that forward? Are you anyone else's mentor? Are you finding that is a kind of a natural transition for you as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I try to help people whenever I can. And obviously I get a lot of messages and I can only do so much, but there are definitely some women coming up in the coaching ranks. So I try to speak to as much as possible just to check in on them. And I'm here for them. If they have any questions, they want to know anything about how things work, how the NFL works. I'm always here for them.
I love it. And talking about communities, I know one of the things that you're doing is, I'd love to know more about, you founded the King Group. Can you share a little bit more on that with us?
Yeah, absolutely. It's an organization that I founded. Super excited about it. We're kind of in our early stages, but now we've had a few events, which have been awesome. And our biggest event last year was our backpack giveaway. We essentially identified a school back where I'm from in North Carolina with the biggest need, and we're able to go in to their summer program. And it was just a fun day. We had a DJ, we had snow cones, there was dancing and different giveaways. And most importantly, we were able to supply them with 100 Nike backpacks, and we had all types of school supplies. We had books, swag, of course, you know, for some fun stuff in the back. But it was just a way to give back, and you know, we were very, very happy with it. And we're actually planning our second one now for this summer. And we also were able to partner with the Commanders, and we did a coat drive at the end of last season, and we were able to raise almost 500 coats to give out to the local community. So definitely some big things on the way. We're super excited about it. And, you know, I'm so happy that we were able to get it off the ground.
Well, we definitely want to stay in touch with you on that and see where we might be able to support you as well. So want to continue with you on that journey. When you think about, you know, what's next? What's next for Jennifer King? I mean, you've reached so many milestones. You've been a pioneer. You've made history. What's next for you?
You know, it's getting better day by day. I think you learn very early on in coaching, you know, you don't look too far ahead just because things can change so quickly. So every position that I've gotten coaching has been because I've kept my head down and did good in my current role. And Coach Rivera always say, be where your feet are. Grow where you're planted, those type of things. And, you know, right now I'm trying to be the best assistant running backs coach I can be, because I know that'll ultimately lead me into my next position, but I'm not actively seeking anything or looking too far ahead, just because I want to stay focused on where I am now. And I know ultimately it'll lead to my next opportunity.
So live in the moment.
Live in the moment.
So I have a few would you rather questions, if that's okay.
All right.
So I'm going to fly through them. So would you rather be a star of a bad team or an average player on an elite team?
I love winning, so I would definitely want to be on an elite team. To win as much as possible.
Awesome.
Yeah.
The game is tied. Would you rather ensure overtime or risk losing and win in regulation?
Oh man, so many factors go into that as a coach, you know. Just a short answer, I would say risk losing and go for the win.
Would you rather go undefeated in the regular season or win the championship?
Oh, that's easy. I'll take the championship.
Right? Yeah. Would you rather coach in 40 degrees or 90 degrees?
Oh man, we experienced both of those in the NFL. Personally, me, I would rather be 90 than 40.
That's that North Carolina. You got that heat going on, right?
Exactly. We get more 40 days than 90 days, though, unfortunately.
Oh my goodness. And then, would you rather meet your childhood sports idol today or play your sports idol in their prime?
Wow, that's a great question. I think I would just rather meet them now. That would be awesome, just to be able to do that.
I love it. I love it. Well, I just wanted to say a huge thank you for your time. It's truly inspirational. We're going to wish you an amazing season. Intuit's going to send you all the love in the world. We're going to be rooting for you, and just really heartfelt thank you for just spending time with us and sharing your story and just making the history. We're just going to follow your career. I can't wait to see what happens next.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys.
Awesome.